got some problems that you wanna solve? Then let's chat. That job getting on your nerves, then let's chat. Girl, you know I can relate, so let's chat. Cause I'ma tell you what the bottom line is.
I'ma tell you what the bottom line is. I'ma tell you what the bottom line is. I'ma tell you what the bottom line is. What the bottom line is. What the bottom line is.
I'ma tell you what the bottom line is.
Hey everybody, it's your girl CC, and we are back for another episode of The Bottom Line Is. And today's episode is called You're Allowed to Outgrow People. Okay, so again, here we are. Everybody's making those sounds like, oh yes, that's powerful. Clock that, all of the above. Yes. So get your favorite beverage, get your favorite snack, and, sit down because we have a good one for you today. Today's guest is Nia, and she is the adult wannabe. Now, everybody know nobody wants to be an adult, okay? Like, we were younger. I don't think I said it, but I could have said it maybe once or twice if my parents got on my nerves that, I just want to be an adult. I want to live on my own. Mm-hmm. It's trash. Like, nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to do it. But here we are doing what we need to do to make the thing work. And so I'm going to let Nia give a formal introduction of herself. But here we go.
Well, thank you so much, Sierra, for that warm welcome. And hello, everyone. My name is Nia Brown. I am the author of the book, So You Want to Be an Adult. And my business is called Adult Wannabe. So basically, I help people navigate adulthood, typically ages 16 to 103. I figure by the time they're 103, they might know how to be an adult. Maybe. But pretty much my book kind of just, touches points on, financial literacy and how to build healthy credit, how to be the bigger person when you feel like you've been disrespected as an adult. I don't think that gets discussed enough. Hey, how to manage bills. If you've never paid a bill before, how do you know how to prioritize? What is auto pay? What does that look like for you? Just really helping people just, in a short guide, get all their stuff together with adulting in about, 85 pages. So just trying to help everyone really just move forward with their life, make the life they want to, create for their dreams or just anything that they see fit for their life. I never wanted anyone to feel like, it's just a cookie cutter situation. Right. Everyone's lives are different. Everyone has different priorities and different things that are impacting their lives. So in order for you to be successful, you have to find out what systems work for you.
That's true.
So that's truly what I do while I'm here.
Yeah, because not every puzzle is going to fit the same way.
Absolutely.
So, and a lot of topics that you just discussed, we've talked about too in the past and one of the things that we highlighted is when you go to school, right? They say, you got to go to school. I'm not knocking school. I'm not saying that. That's my disclaimer. But they don't teach those real life lessons. Yeah. And it makes me think of, I forgot, I don't know if it's the Progressive commercial where they're like teaching you how to be an adult and everything. It's the same concept because people don't teach you about, like, yes, you take accounting if you're a business major. Right. But when you're in high school, nobody teaches you how to manage your money. They don't. Nobody teaches you about bills and good credit and how important that is. You're setting yourself up, because then when you go to college, you just think, oh, well, I'll just get all these loans. And then now when you've learned a little bit and you've graduated from college, you're like, ooh, what did I do? What happened? I can't get a house.
Signed up for what? They were giving out free pizzas on campus, so I just wrote my name down and I just wanted to try to get a credit card and you done messed up your credit by accident.
So it's definitely needed. And Nia will share at the end too as well how to get her book, because if you have a teenager, you want to make sure that they read that, or if you yourself need to sharpen those adulthood skills, which we are always fine-tuning every day.
Every single day. Because life be lifing.
It does.
And you need to hop in that toolkit. What do I know?
Yeah, that's what we need, an adult toolkit. Yes. Okay, like all the things. So my first question then to you is, obviously my viewers are meeting you for the first time today. It won't be their last, okay? But who are you today? And what version of yourself did you have to outgrow to become her?
The woman I am today is someone that is I would say confident and self-assured in who she is, that being the good, bad, and everything in between. Being accepting of, things that are my growth opportunities and not necessarily taking it personally. I think in my past, I always had this perfectionism type of mantra in my head. So it was more like a curse. It was a blessing and a curse, because me feel like I had to be a perfectionist. It pushed me to be very ambitious. But then in the back of my head, I never would, give myself a break. It caused for me to be extremely restless, because I just felt like I had to keep working. And if I'm not working, then I'm not achieving anything. And if I'm not achieving anything, then I'm not being successful. Yeah. Which we all know is completely false, because you need rest. Rest is necessary. It is mandatory for any type of level of success that you want to achieve. So I think the woman I am now, I am willing to rest. And honestly, I'll be the first one to say, hey, I'll take a break if y'all, whatever's going on at work or just anywhere in general, I'll take a break if that's what needs to happen. Yeah. Because if I'm not the one that's, fully, just well rested, my brain's not functioning on the, the highest capability that it can, I'm not able to get my thought process together, just all the things in order for me to, excel at whatever task I'm trying to do. So the woman I am today is accepting of that. I'm also accepting of the fact that other people aren't going to think like me.
Right. And that's a hard concept. I still struggle with that.
Yes. I'm learning too. But I had to understand that just because someone doesn't think like me doesn't mean they're necessarily wrong.
Right.
And I had to take my ego out of a lot of, conversations, whether with myself or other people, just really toning back my ego, like, well, why aren't you thinking like this? Because that's not where their ministry is going to. That's not what God has called them to think. That's not what they're thinking. And that's okay, because we're all different. If everyone thought the exact same way, we would be in a lot worse of a situation than we are right now. Life is ghetto right now. But if everyone thought the exact same way, we'd be in a lot worse of a situation. So I think the woman I am right now is confident. I'm patient. I'm extending grace to others as well as myself. And I'm recognizing that this is everyone's first time adulting. Like, you've never been this version of Sierra on this day at this moment in your life.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly, thinking about that.
Okay, no, I love that. Yeah, you're right. And as like my grandfather would say, you're twice a child and once an adult. So you get to have a little bit of childhood when you become an elderly person. Yes. But nobody's rushing that. No one is, So, well, when you hear the phrase, which is our topic for today, you're allowed to outgrow people. What does that mean to you?
It personally resonates with me, because I feel like over the last 5 years, I've had so many different changes in my immediate friendship circle or the circle of influence that was around me. And I recognize, that myself and other people, we just aren't on the same frequency.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But it also was very hard, because you have these strong bonds and connections with people, and you're like, oh, we're going to be best friends forever. And we're going to, grow old and, become second kids again together. Like, we're going to have families and raise our kids together. Like, I feel like as young adults that have friendships that have been long-term, you're just always assuming those people will be there. Especially if they're people from, high school or from teenagehood or college friends, things like that. And then you don't necessarily put certain boundaries in place that should be in place, because you have had these long-term relationships. And so you kind of extend too much grace. You're like, well, that's just how she acts. That's okay. Or that's just how her behavior is. But that's okay, because we've been friends since I was 15. So that's what it is. That's okay. But certain things are not okay. And I feel like within the last 5 years, I had to come to an understanding with myself. Like, I'm trying to excel and go to certain levels and different, just heights in my career, who I am as a woman, the type of people I want to be around and circulate myself with. Some things are going to have to change, and there's going to have to be some type of distance. It doesn't mean that you can't be friends with certain people, but you're going to have to create that type of distance in order for you to focus on what it is that you want to achieve. And I think for me, like I said, it was definitely hard separating from certain individuals, because we had those memories, we've traveled to all these places and we had all these great times and things like that. But when I thought about it, I'm like, well, I'm outgrowing the same thing that we're doing. We can't go to Dragon every single Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Going in the same circles.
I'm like, we can't do this every single weekend. If that's what you want to do, fine. But if you're looking to go do something else, if you're looking to create where or create with different people that are doing things that you're interested in, that are doing podcasts and amazing things, successful Black women. If you're looking to be around a different era of people that have things that you're interested in achieving, or, you know, just being around different folks that have that type of influence for the life that you're trying to build and create. If you're stuck inside that same circle, that same, you know, routine, and no one wants to grow or excel, then you get suffocated. And I felt like I was being suffocated, and I was like, well, you know what? I need to just take a step back, because I know there are things in my life that I want to do, and everyone can't go with you. And that's a harsh reality, but it's a real reality. So for me, you know, outgrowing certain people, and I had to break bonds that were extremely important to me at that time. Breaking bonds meaning that I'm no longer, you know, certain people's godmother anymore. Breaking bonds meaning like, hey, like we're no longer going to be I'm no longer in your wedding anymore. You know, those type of relationships, and these are people that you thought would be around for a really long time. But I also grew to understand that they were around for the purpose that they served at that moment. So whatever I needed at that time, God always provides. And in that moment, I probably needed a friend like this. And now in this new season of life, I need a friend that's more like that.
Yeah, the seasonal friend.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah, and it's so hard. I mean, you said it all. You explained it beautifully. And when you were talking, I just kept thinking, we talk about so much how to not settle in a relationship, and most people just think with the opposite sex or whatever the case is, but we don't talk about settling in a friendship.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Season 4.
That was a good one.
Yes. But it's a, you know, we can give a little prelude right now, like, because I mean, that is very true, and we do a lot of that until we get to the point of frustration, and then unfortunately, when we get frustrated, then it's a complete break,
right?
And it's like, it shouldn't have to get to that point,
Exactly.
right? We should be able to have regular conversation, you know, hey, discuss what your needs are, what your wants are, whatever the case is, and you know, if the agreement is to separate, then we separate and move on. I wish you luck. Of course, we can still talk, but we just won't be on that same level.
Correct.
You know, so, and then, you know, you go through that process and grieve and keep it moving.
Yeah.
So,
and I want to add a point that I think that those quote courageous conversations play such a huge role in your ability to say, hey, we can grow together or we can't.
Right.
And at least in my situation, I was trying to have those type of courageous conversations, and they would just be getting shut down. So it's like, well, this person doesn't want to hear what you have to say. They don't want to take back any feedback or receive anything because they're going to take it as an attack. When you're just trying to pour into them and say, hey, I'm recognizing this pattern and I don't like that for you because I love you. But sometimes that's hard for people to hear, and they'll just shut down completely and just X out the whole conversation.
We're so much alike. Yes. We had already established we're Sagittarius.
Yes, we're Sagittarius.
As you can see the trend. I love it. I love it. So, you know, as we just been talking about, sometimes we think we're losing people, as I mentioned with the grieving, but really we're finding ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
You know, you go through different phases of adulthood. So, and like you said, everything is seasonal. You know, I'm getting ready to embark into a new decade, and I'm, you know, thinking, what do I want that to look like for me? I know what my 20s look like. Yeah. My 30s, no, don't need to be repeated. Don't need to be repeated, you know? So I'm like, what is this going to look like? How am I going to approach situations differently and things like that? But how do you know the difference between a relationship going through a season versus a relationship no longer fitting who you are becoming?
That's a great question. And I think that in the beginning, someone will ask themselves, okay, like, what about this relationship? Like, what's causing the friction? Like, I feel like understanding what is the underlying issue. Like, is it the fact, like, oh my gosh, she do want to go to Golden Dragon 4 times a week? Is that really the issue, or is the issue something deeper than that? Because I feel like the Golden Dragon could just be a symptom, but there could be a deeper issue going on. It's like, okay, let's dive into that. Like, hey, my goal is to save X amount of dollars by the end of the week, or X amount of dollars by the end of the month, whatever the goal is. I don't necessarily have it to spend $25 on, you know, 1 or 2 Mai Tais
Exactly.
Like stuff adds up. So it's like you have to ask yourself, like, okay, well, what is the real issue? Like, is it the fact that you want to go out, or the fact that it's just interrupting your money plan, your money flow? Because then you might say, well, girl, I can maybe reach you on Friday, but I can't do 3, 4, 5 times a week because I got stuff to handle.
Right.
So then you try to ask yourself. But then if you're like, well, she's not really being receptive to the changes that you're trying to implement, and she's taking them, or he or she is taking them personally, well, then you're like, well, wait a minute. Am I outgrowing this person in general? Because they're not even recognizing that I have my own personal goals I'm trying to achieve. And instead of even recognizing or acknowledging that, they're taking it as something, that's just an attack on them. Right. When really that's just kind of narcissistic, because it has nothing really to do with you. I'm just like, hey, girl, these are my plans, and this is like what I'm trying to build. And if you can't get with that vibe, I have to respectfully understand, but also respectfully do what's best for me. And I think that's a lot of the times what has to happen in friendships, relationships, anything that has any type of bond or connection. Like, you have to recognize, like, hey, is this truly serving me or the things that I want to achieve? Like, is everything in alignment? Because you can't say that you want certain things and then you do the complete opposite. Because what they say, that's insanity.
Yeah.
Like, so you can't be misaligned and know that you're misaligned and then still kind of have an attitude like, well, why am I not a millionaire yet? Well, girl, you put a plan together and you're not doing anything on that list at all. Not one thing. But you're so busy hanging out and doing this and doing that. I think it's about really understanding who you want to be and show up as in society. Like, what type of impact do you want to leave when you're gone? And those type of things don't happen overnight, but they happen with a plan. And you have to, again, it goes back to your planning and what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? And sometimes people aren't able to conceptualize things on that deep of a realm. So they think that you're just acting weird or you're acting different. When it's like, no, I'm just kind of doing some different life planning, plug and play to see what's best for me in this moment. Right. That's going to help me be the woman 10 years from now that looks back and says, hey, I'm so glad that I made those choices and those changes because I was able to do exactly what I said I wanted to do. I'm someone that's super big on commitment. So I never want to say I want to do something and then I fall through on it because I just internally, I just can't take it. So I always want to show up and be my best self. And I always, again, I just want to do what I say I'm going to do. And in order to do that, you have to follow a plan. It's like, that's just simple.
Exactly. No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking of a question. I didn't have this written down, but, do you share your, the things that you want to do in life with your friends?
Yes, I feel like for certain friends, I'll share that because I think it's pretty vulnerable. Mm-hmm. But we'll have like vision board parties. Yeah. Or I had a friend, she and I did bingo one year for like New Year's. So we, got the bingo. You're able to receive whatever type of treat that you were trying to get. Like, so whether it was like a new hair install, right? Like, oh, okay, I achieved all 5 of my goals. I can do this, X, Y, and Z. I never got bingo, by the way. So
I like that idea.
Bingo. I never got bingo.
Sorry, you try again.
Yes. But what was the question?
No, I was just thinking because you had talked a lot about using the golden dragon still example, mm-hmm. Like this person, you're trying to be smarter about your finances and save because maybe you want to buy a house, right? And they're wanting to go spend $100 at Golden Dragon every Friday. Well, that's just not in my budget. This is what I'm trying to do. Yeah. It's like, do you owe them that explanation or should no just be enough? That's what I was getting to in my head. And I just feel free to comment in the chat, but
for certain friendships, I don't know if they're owed, but maybe if you know that you have a friend that's a little bit more sensitive than others, right? Like say, hey girl, like I'm not ignoring you, but this is what I got on my agenda. Like, so I'm gonna have to make a switch. Yeah. Just so that you know. But we could, reallocate our time and our funds, maybe to do something X, Y, and Z, something else. Maybe we can do, whatever the case may be. So that was a great question. But for some friends, it could be a coworker or someone that you just don't know that well. I wouldn't give an explanation. Personally, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't. Like, okay.
I find that certain people, when I say no, I feel guilty. I feel like, oh, they probably did need somebody to hang out with, but I just don't have the bandwidth, to do it. Because sometimes for me, it may be fun, but it just might be the bandwidth. I just don't have it in me. And I just think about that because I think because a lot of us are people pleasers. Mm-hmm. And so we feel like at the expense of ourselves, we have to say yes and keep on going. So again, with the theme of outgrowing people, we have to still continue with everybody else's shenanigans, mm-hmm. but at the price of ourselves, because it's also delaying the goals that we're trying to get to, if that makes sense. So,
and I recognize that's a sacrifice I'm not willing to take.
Right.
And it's okay for me to say no. And I have a friend, she's like, I don't understand, like, you just say no, and it's like, you just don't even give a F, like, you just don't care. I'm like, I don't care.
Right.
And it's not like I don't care about you or the person or whatever it is I said no to, but at the same time, I can't care about them more than I care about myself.
Exactly.
Because I matter.
Right.
And I had to, and for a lot of my friends that are people pleasers, I have to kind of reinforce that with them. I'm like, you matter. So whatever you're trying to do for someone else's benefit, if it's not serving you in a way that you feel like, hey, like, you know, this makes me feel like X, Y, and Z. I'm uplifted because I was able to assist doing da-da-da. But it's literally like taking from you, and you're just now overflowed with just so many responsibilities or just things that you have to do and you just can't take it. That's no compliment to you or that person.
Right.
Because you're not even going to show up in your best form because you're so overwhelmed. And for you yourself, you're so exhausted. So it's like you're depleting yourself of energy. You're depleting yourself of, you know, nourishment, whether that is rest or eating properly, because when you're doing 1,000,001 things, you're grabbing Chick-fil-A and you're not taking care of yourself. Maybe you're not going to your Pilates classes, whatever the case may be. But it's like you have to make sure that you're putting yourself first. And I actually have this tattoo. You probably can't see it, but it says you must love yourself first.
Okay. Yeah. And I love that, you know, you live that every day, and more of us need to, because I did an episode on that too. I think this season, it's like, I've been hitting y'all with so much. I'm forgetting. I don't know why, but, but you really do. Oh, that was, my episode from a couple weeks ago. You have to love yourself. Now, it was love yourself before a relationship, but anything you do, you really need to love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, then how can you expect anyone, whether it's a friend, you know, relationship or anyone, to love you?
Yeah. You teach people how to treat you.
Exactly.
And then you can recognize that based on how you treat yourself. If you're someone that you just don't care, you just don't do your hair in the morning, you just roll out of bed, you're not taking care of yourself, but you're showing up looking whatever, like, you're not taking care of yourself. So someone's going to say, well, why do I have to take care of you? You don't take care of yourself. Yeah. And they're not going to say it out loud, but in their head, they're processing it that way. Like,
because they're watching how you're moving. Yeah. They're like, well, okay, if that's what they want to do, you know? So, but that kind of led into a couple of my other questions. So that always happens, you guys. I come with a plan, but we never follow the plan here on the bottom line is. So how do you handle people saying things like you changed when the truth is you grew?
Ooh. I handle that with saying thank you. Okay. Truly, sweet. Thank you. Because I did change, and I'm glad that you're able to notice it, because I'll notice it in myself. And, you know, I don't need the validation from anyone for what I have going on with my life. If I ask you for your opinion on it, and it's an opinion that I don't necessarily agree with, I'm still going to appreciate the feedback, because I asked for it, but I don't need the validation. So you telling me that I changed when, like you said, I actually grew, I am going to change. And if you didn't change, I think that's a problem. If you're the same person that you were a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that's an issue. You should always be evolving, regardless of where it is, professionally, personally. You should just continue to be accelerating in some type of way moving forward.
Right. Okay. Now, with that, just thinking about that, have you ever felt lonely while you were leveling up?
Oh, absolutely. I even feel like in this season, I have days where I feel lonely. I'm like, I wish I had someone to talk to about X, Y, and Z, but I have to get this work done. So for me, it is, like I said, a blessing and a curse, because I really am a workaholic. But it's that emotional part of, you know, just humanity. Sometimes it gets lonely because I'm just so in the weeds of, you know, I have a very demanding job, like a regular 9-to-5 that's super demanding. I'm trying to build my brand, Adult Wannabe, from the ground up, literally brick by brick. I'm out here connecting with people, like how I organically connected with you at an event. You know, just trying to reach out to different people in the community, trying to see how can my services or resources be impactful to, you know, our youth, to some of our, you know, vulnerable communities, things like that. Like, I'm doing all this work by myself. So it does get lonely sometimes, but I also just think about, like, even if it is lonely, about, you know, how important the work's going to be in a few years, like how impactful it's going to be. So, I mean, it gets lonely, but I just kind of just think about the future and the outcome of it.
No, I'm the same way. I just think about just like you know, well, I don't have a 9 to 5 currently, but when I did have my 9 to 5 and still was building my brand, building my business, and doing all of the other things, it is hard.
It is very
and sometimes
hard.
people just can't, in your circle can't understand why you work so hard because they're not doing it, which is fine because they have their own priorities, right?
Yes.
And it's not the same priorities as myself, but you can't knock me because
because I'm hustling.
I'm hustling. I'm doing what I got to do. That's my song. Hustle hard.
Yeah, like 1,000%.
Yeah.
So
we are. Yeah. That's what I said. This is just the beginning. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So when we talk about relationships, do you think that becoming a better version of yourself changes what you accept from friendships, family, and dating? We kind of talked on this, but I'm throwing dating in there for the people in the back.
Okay. Yes. Catch it.
Right.
I 1,000% believe that. I 1,050% believe that because you set yourself to a certain standard. And once you have received certain treatment or you've had certain experiences, you're like, well, why was I ever settling for anything that wasn't this as the baseline?
Right.
Like, this should be the benchmark for anything, and anything additional after this is nice. But each time that you're leveling up and growing up, there should always be, hey, this is now my new benchmark. This is now the new benchmark, because you know better now.
Right.
So when you treat yourself better, when you're exposed to certain experiences or just certain dynamics, and you recognize, like, well, that's not how a man should be treating a woman. And maybe these are things that weren't necessarily taught to you from a motherly figure or from your parents, if they're together or not together. Maybe relationships are not things that's always just taught to you. At least in my family, I don't remember ever sitting down and saying, hey, like, from my father figure or for anyone, like, hey, like, this is how a man should treat you. This is what you should accept.
Right.
Da, da, da. So people go their entire lives really just winging it. I mean, we're all winging it.
Yeah.
But they go there.
We are like a product of what we see.
Yeah.
And so if you see like your parents or you see a male being abusive or anything like that, then you think like that's okay because they're sitting there.
They're normalizing.
It's not. Yeah. And it's not okay.
It's not okay.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing that I would say, I'm sure you're probably already doing it in adult wannabe. Like, we already covered the finances, but covering what a healthy relationship should look like for two consensual adults.
Yes.
So.
And I have a friend, she has always been someone to me that has always thought of things on such a high standard.
Yeah.
So it's like, I remember telling her years ago, like, I was going through some guy drama or something. And to her, I don't even think she could fathom experiencing what I was experiencing because she would never put herself in a situation for that to be an outcome because of how much she values herself.
Right.
And that's something that was indoctrinated within her from childhood.
Wow.
So even being around her, it allows for me, and we've been friends for like quite some time now, but it allows for me to think about things from a different perspective. I'm like, well, she wouldn't accept no stuff like that. And it's because of X, Y, Z, because she values herself. I said, if I value myself the way I say I do, then why am I accepting anything that doesn't match that?
You're right. And so on that note, what advice would you give someone who knows they need a different environment, but they're scared to start over?
I would say being scared is the hardest part. Because once you're over that fear, because everyone moves at their own pace. People get over things when they get over it, whether they want to leave that man, leave that relationship. Like, you're going to do it when the time is right for you. No one can tell you when. But baby, when you are ready and you have that final call and you said, you know what? It could be a random Tuesday. You just wake up like, I'm out. Like, I don't feel like doing this no more. I'm over it. Nothing probably even happened. You just woke up and said, that's it. Like, I'm over it. You get tired. People get tired. So the scary part, that's the hardest. And once you're outside of that fear and you're looking at the possibility, once you're into that mindset of possibility over fearfulness, you're going to be able to make a leap. 100%.
And let us know when.
Yes.
Put that in the comments too when you make that leap. We are here to see it, okay?
Yes.
Clapping for you in advance.
Yes.
So, what is one version of yourself that you are proud you left behind?
I'm proud that I left behind, I would say, to an extent, people pleasing. For sure. I wanted everyone around me to be happy. I mean, I still do, but it doesn't have to be happy at my expense. Right. Like, if, like, example, I remember I was running late. I was in traffic, like, recently. I was going to run late. And I told my mom that I was running late. And I could tell by the text that she probably just felt some type of way. And I was like, in the back of my head, I don't control traffic flows. So
Yeah, it's out of your control.
Stuff be out of your control, but you still want to make sure that people around you are happy and they're pleased, and you feel like you have to be the one to make that happen for them. And truthfully, it's like you can't make anyone happy. Like a friend, a parent, whoever, you cannot make people happy. People have to be happy within themselves. Right. So all the pleasing that you're trying to do in order to get their, I said the word earlier today, validation, in order to get their acceptance, in order to say, hey, like, okay, cool, like I'm still in their good graces. When you think about it from the opposite perspective, okay, what happens if I'm not in their good graces? Then what? Like the world still has to go. The bills still have to get paid. Things still have to get done. Yeah. So when you think about it from that perspective, I'm like, well, I don't have time to be trying to make you so happy that, whatever the case may be, when the world's not going to stop. We got to keep going. So whether you're happy or not, I done been unhappy before. You can be unhappy too. You'll get over it. You'll move on. You're an adult. You'll be okay.
You will be okay.
You will be okay.
Understand that. Okay. I'm getting ready to, wrap up. I'm trying to make sure I'm hitting everything because, again, I have my questions, but this is such a good topic. I'm loving the direction of where this is going, and I'm hoping that, as a result of today's conversation, you start, taking back and thinking about what you need to outgrow, what you need to leave behind for this upcoming season, because, you're blocking your blessings as well.
Yes.
By allowing yourself to still stay in that and keep,
Because God has so much more for you. And if you're, I often talk to people about how familiarity can be a curse in itself because you're so familiar with so many toxic things. Right. So that when something comes into your atmosphere that's unfamiliar to you and it's not toxic, you might rebel against it a little bit because you're like, what is this foreign feeling? What is this foreign experience? And then you go back to what's familiar because it's like, okay, well, this is what I've always known.
Right. Which is wild. We are all guilty of that. And it's just like, how do you break that cycle?
Yeah.
It's one that we have to figure out, but it has to be broken. And like you said, like sometimes you just wake up on that random Tuesday and just say,
F it.
Yep. We out. So, well, if someone listening is shrinking themselves right now because they don't want to make other people uncomfortable, we talked about people pleasing, what would you tell them?
Well, why are you okay with making yourself uncomfortable? You matter. So you have to think about it from that perspective. No one feels a way about making you feel uncomfortable, but yet you're going out your way to make sure that everyone else's comfort is prioritized. Meanwhile, you're walking on edge. You're extremely anxious. You're walking on, like, you just don't know what's going on. Like, your nervous system is shot because you're so busy trying to make sure that everybody else around you is comfortable. Meanwhile, you're uncomfortable as hell in everything that's going on. So.
No, you hit the nail on the head with that one. Totally agree. I have one more question for you, but I want to pause. And do you have any upcoming projects, or how can people reach you to know more about how to be an adult?
Yes. People can reach out to us on social media. We mostly utilize Instagram and some of our Facebook pages. So Adult Wannabe, that's ADULTWANNABE. So the @ sign in the front.
And that's listed below.
Yes. And then also, if you guys have any questions or want to collaborate or just anything, you can always email me at info@adultwannabe.com. And our book is sold online on Amazon as well. So you can go to our website, www.adultwannabe.com, or you can look it up on Amazon. Literally just type it into the search bar, So You Wanna Be an Adult. And wannabe is spelled WANNA, and then the second word is B. That's how we got the company, Adult Wannabe. And you can find us that way as well.
And what are the top 3 things, yet again, that they can get when they get your book?
You will have access to freedom to design your life the way that you see fit. Sometimes we don't always have the opportunity to sit down and think, to say, hey, this is what I want my life to look like. This is what I want it to feel like, but I don't know where to begin. So being able to have access to Adult Wannabe really kind of puts you in the driver's seat of your life, although you've always been in the driver's seat, but sometimes the key's not turned on. You're just sitting there, you just stand still.
Yeah.
This allows for you to feel empowered to turn the car on and go wherever you need to go. Whether you want to go back to school and finish that degree, whether you want to, hey, level up in your job and you're trying to figure out, hey, where do I want to go to, the next level to career map? How do I do that? Whether it's, maybe I want to figure out exactly how to be a better partner. How do I navigate these relationships and how do I navigate, talking to, X, Y, and Z. You'll get all that plus more from the book.
Awesome. So yeah, we're going to have that link below. Make sure you get her book and let us know what your thoughts are. Write her a review.
Please
all
do.
Of that.
I take all of it, the good, the bad.
I just like being an adult.
adult.
Being able to handle constructive criticism
Absolutely.
is what I tell people all the time. And so, I know this is outside of our topic, but and you hit on it when you was talking about the book, but any other piece of advice for people just struggling in adulthood?
Sure. Kind of how I mentioned to you earlier, this is everyone's first time being here on this day, in this moment, in this current form. You've never been yourself on this day ever. So give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
Things happen in life. Life 100% be lifing. Some things that's in your control, some things that's out of your control. And for the things that are out of your control, don't feel so compelled to figure out how to get a grip on it. Some things have to just go with the flow, but you make a plan so that when things aren't necessarily going according to what you think they should look like or could look like, you have alternatives. You don't have to stand still. You don't have to be limited in options, but you do have to allow for yourself to think outside that box and see what the possibilities are. And that's just breaking that, when you break that ceiling of being fearful and when you go outside and see what the possibilities are for your life.
Awesome. Put a couple of goals for yourself too in the comments. So
Yes.
What I like to do is when I close out, I always basically sum up the episode with the bottom line is X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
So lately I've been on this trend of asking my guests, So Nia, the bottom line is you're allowed to outgrow people because
you matter. Because you matter.
I said it 3 times now. You didn't get it the first couple times. Get it this time with the bottom line.
The bottom line is you matter. Your feelings matter. Your goals matter. And if someone is not in alignment with any of that, then they have to go.
It's hard, but you will definitely see that you made the right decision later on. Okay? Absolutely. Again, while you're going through it, it's going to be a little fuzzy, but you're going to get through it.
When you go on the other side, you'll say, okay, I'm so glad I made that decision. I'm so glad I decided to say that's enough.
Right. Stop holding yourself back. With that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Nia, for being my guest. And we hope that you enjoyed today's episode of The Bottom Line Is. Make sure that you like, of course, comment, chat with us, because we're going to have to get Nia back for season 4 next year. And, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. And we will see you next week for another new episode of The Bottom Line Is.